think I got it.
Ready?
Yeah, let's rock it. We're perfect, right? Whatever. Just tell me which one I'm yelling at. What's up, guys? Today is Wednesday, August 14th. I have a very special guest with me, my good old friend, Maria Acosta. I'm so happy she's here. We're going to talk about her life story, how she got started, everything she's got going on. We're going to talk about the market, buying, selling real estate, how much it actually sucks, and how much we love it. We're going to talk about underwriting, because tomorrow in our office right outside is our open office mastermind event every third Thursday. That is tomorrow night. Doors open at 5:30. Come on out. And then September 3rd, I have Texas Tuesday, Ryan Jackson's event. That is going to be in Fort Worth, Hyenas. I think the doors open at 6:30 that night, but don't quote me on that one. I'm going to be speaking with Max Deer, good friend of mine. Didn't mess up that name. I'm happy. So that's all I got. Maria, thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
See, all you have to do is ask, and you got me out here.
Don't even. I've been legit texting you and trying to get you to come on out for over a year, and I finally, just within the last 2 weeks, got you to respond and stuff. So I had to go and bribe my way to get into your poker group, right? Like, it was ridiculous.
Oh, man, but you're in now. You made it.
I know. Once I'm in, that's it. You can't get rid of me. But
oh, man.
as always, guys, I didn't say this originally, but as always, drop a comment. If you have any questions for Maria, anything we're talking about, interrupt us. Give us topics to talk about. That's what today's live call is all about. Let's talk about how you got started, all right? So 2014, you've been in the game for longer than me, right?
I feel like a dinosaur, thanks.
No, that's not the point.
I was just kidding.
But the point is like you're verified. You're like you've gone through quite a couple cycles now. All right, nothing. Either way, right? Ups and downs, plenty of rate changes.
Yeah.
How'd you get started?
So initially, I was working at my corporate job, right? So I worked at Fidelity Investments for the longest time. It was my first job out of college, and I was just trying to find a way to make extra money. Literally, that's all it was. And so, probably like a lot of people out there watching these HGTV shows, these guys flipping houses. Back in the day, my show was Flipping Vegas with Scott and Amy Yancey. I don't know if anyone has seen or heard of that thing, so I don't think they're on anymore.
Most of them don't last, unfortunately, unless you're going to go off and build Waco. But
exactly.
Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. So, I was like really obsessed with their show, and it was so crazy, Nick, because I got a postcard saying that they were coming to DFW to like host a lunch and, talk a little bit about, fixing and flipping. So I'm like, okay, let me check this out. And all of these programs are all the same. They lure you in, with some free lunch and whatnot. They give you a little bit of information, so that way, you can maybe come to the next day. And so that's what I did. I went to the first day, and they said, hey, if you guys want a little bit more info, if this sounds interesting, pay like $100 or whatever it is, you come to another 2-day session. So that's what I did. Went to the 2-day session, and Nick, at the 2-day session, because at the time, I had no way to, pay for any of their courses. I knew there was a cell, somewhere. So, excuse me. So what they ended up doing is that they showed us how to increase our credit card limits. So literally during our lunch break, they tell us, okay, guys, so here's your script. Go to the back of the room and start calling your credit card companies. So I started calling all of my credit card companies, and I got 3 of them to increase my limit to $30,000 each. So, I had decent credit, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't anything crazy. And so after I was able to do that, that's then when they presented me with the sheet of, hey, so what packet do you want? We have our,
They know you got the capital now, right? Oh, my God, that pains me. Well, has it paid off at least?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So. And actually, it's funny because I know a lot of people talk smack about programs and gurus and stuff like that, but I feel like at the same time, it's like if you don't have something really driving you to take action, like you're not going to do anything. And so for me, when I joined that program and I dropped all that money on that course, like it scared the shit out of me. And sorry if I'm cursing, but
you're fine. We're
like,
past.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's what like pushed me, like, okay, I have to do this. So luckily, it was 0%, credit cards that I had it for 12 months. So I was like, all right, Maria, you have 12 months, to make this work. So I think that was end of 2014 that I did the program, and I got my first flip in February 2015.
That's awesome. What were they? I'm not going to ask what were they teaching or anything like that, but obviously it was flips only, or was it acquisitions? Was it marketing, or was it just the whole? This is the what a flip is, right?
Yeah. So for the most part, it was fix and flips. I mean, that's what Scott and Amy focused on. But it's interesting because I still have some of the materials that I got from back in the day, and I was going through it, and I was like, man, they actually had stuff in here on wholesaling and some of this other stuff. But again, because we were so focused just on flips, I didn't really pay a whole bunch of attention to everything else.
It's insane how only over the past like 5 to 6 years, I would say, wholesaling has blown up to what it is. But it's been around for 20 years, right? People have been doing it forever. But all the glitz and glam of it has always been shined on flipping, right? You said everybody wants to get in for flipping just because of HGTV. They think it's going to be great. It can be good, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, you're also taking on a lot of pain, troublement, like headaches that are involved in that the average people don't even understand.
Yeah.
That is kind of where I get jammed up with wholesalers nowadays, because originally they were always investors that always wholesaled. Now they're just wholesaling. They're only doing this one niche thing, and they don't understand what actually takes to do the flip, right? So they're missing things on the buy side. They're missing things on the negotiation side. And all they have to do is just analyze things as an investor first. That's what we was talking about. Sorry, Nick D over there increased the card limit so you can buy their course. Shake my head, but at least it paid off. No, bro, that is honestly 101 that sales do, right? They'll do a 2-day course, 1-day course, bring them back to the room. They'll do a free intro. Same thing as timeshares, right?
Yep.
Like free resort on us. Come on out to our timeshare, and the next thing you know, you're trapped in this goddamn timeshare you can't get out of.
Yeah,
But
and it's so how I kind of looked at it too, Nick. So when I went to school, my school was expensive. I think I paid like 40 something at the time, 40 something grand. It's probably a little over 50 now per year. So I saw it as an education. I was like, all right, Maria, so you paid to go to college, learn about accounting and finance. That's kind of what you're doing for this. Only because the alternative that I was thinking about, I could try and piecemeal this together on my own. But it's like, how long would it take me for me to actually take action? And do something. So that's kind of how I looked at it when I was weighing it out.
So you got your first flip in 2015. How did that go?
So it was scary as hell. And don't bring your friends that don't know anything about real estate to your fix and flips, because they'll scare you even more. So I brought some of my friends to the flip, and at the time, one of the guys that I brought was my old rugby coach from New Zealand. And I just remember him coming to the house, and he looked at this big crack going through the garage floor, and he's like, "You're fucked, mate." Like, so yeah. I was freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, did I like really mess up? And but yeah, no. So the reason, or the way I ran across it, so actually this couple that was in the class with me found this house in Hearst, and they're like, hey Maria, we think this is a really good opportunity. You should check it out. So I went, checked it out, and I didn't even have the house under contract. But I got 3 contractors to come to the house all at the same time, by the way. Like, I didn't space them out or anything. They were all just walking the house because I wanted to get bids.
So we're there with you?
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is my team. This is all my wands. I have a bunch of wands.
So yeah, so the guys came, gave me bids and everything like that, and I ended up getting the house under contract, so I got it for $95,000. I ended up picking, I think, one of the contractors. I think he was like medium, like he wasn't the cheapest, but he was kind of right there in the middle. And I just remember blowing his phone up every single day because, Nick, I was so scared. Like, are we staying on budget? Like, how are we for our timeline?
How tightly did you grasp that profit, right? Because I'm sure you saw the profit on the front side when you bought it. You're saying, like, are we going to make budget? You're watching every time you spend. You're watching that budget or that profit of $50,000 or whatever you thought your originally return was going to be. Like, you kind of grasp it, and it scares the shit out of you, right?
Yeah, no, it's so scary. Like, because again, you don't know what you don't know. So it's like, shoot, did I overlook something? So you just hear of all the things that can go wrong, and that's what I was trying to avoid. Like, is the contractor going to run out on me? So I made sure to only pay him like in draws. I was very particular about that because I didn't want to get screwed over. But we finished it really quick. I think we put maybe like 30, 35K into the house, and I ended up making $15,000 on my first flip.
Yeah. So that's another education that you paid, though, right? Like that. As long as you got out, you made your money back and you made a profit, that's awesome, right? On your first one. My first one getting into it was one in Farmers Branch, just literally right around the corner. And we picked it up in 2019. This thing was, oh my God, it was just plagued. It was just, it was a cursed house, right? We went through so many different inspectors. Different inspectors told us to do different things. Just Farmers Branch, typical Farmers Branch. Don't buy here. Sorry, don't buy here. They made us replumb the house 3 times. Budget went double, and we broke even. I think we made $5,000.
Oh, that's not bad.
So,
that's a blessing.
Like, it was 8 months of pure hell, right?
Okay.
So
yeah.
You're always going to pay an education when you're first starting out, whether or not you're going to pay somebody to hold your hand and show you actually how to do it, and then hopefully you're off on a good start, or you're going to learn by paying subcontractors to do work 10 times over.
Yeah, and I didn't want to learn, you know what I'm saying, and like make crazy big mistakes, which again is another reason why I decided to do the program. Because when I did the program, one of the things that they did is that we were in a classroom with a full-time real estate investor, and Nick, he literally walked us through his entire process. So me paying that $40,000, all the extra stuff that they gave us with, hey guys, you get to fly out to Vegas, you get to meet Scott and Amy, you get their book, you get this, none of that did anything. The biggest thing was being in that classroom for 3 days, 9 to 5 with this guy doing this full time, and he walked us through his entire system. So at the end of that, Nick, all I got literally was the confidence to do it, because all this information is available online. Anyone can go YouTube University, look this stuff up, but it's like, do you have the confidence to do this stuff though? And that's what I felt I got at the end of the program.
What was something else that helped you with that confidence? Maybe like your first time, was it solo, or did you have business partners that you're with? Or?
No, so actually I did it on my own. So at the conference that we went to, they helped us create LLCs and everything like that. So I created an LLC, but I purchased it, on my own. I got a hard money lender, and actually the funds that I needed to bring to close, I borrowed that from my dad and my uncle. So they gave me the money that that I needed. But yeah, awesome. I just made sure, to kind of follow the process of what we were taught. Like it was, again, scared as hell, but still taking action nonetheless. It's like, just keep going. It's going to work out. Just faith.
Where are you guiding? Like, where are you going now? All right. So that was 2015. You did a couple flips. You've been multi-state too.
Yeah. So I'm doing stuff.
How the hell did you go from Hearst to
Ohio,
to shopping Ohio and all these other states?
So
Because you're still flipping in them too, right? That's the crazy thing to me is flipping multi-state, right?
So I do renovate them, but I keep them. The ones out of state, it's for cash flow. But that conference I went to in Vegas, so I said,
but it's still the same to me, right? In my eye, because I'm like, I like to have things within an arm's reach, right? So if anything sets on fire, we can be there in a couple of hours. But just the idea of having an asset over there that you got to manage, that's foreign to me, and I have such respect for it. So having the systems built up and tools just to do that is awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I said my first flip was in February, right, of 2015. So at that conference, Nick, there was a company that was selling turnkey properties to the students. So again, remember, I had those 3 credit cards, $30K each. I had only spent, $40K at that point. So I still have some money left. So I wanted to get, a rental property, and you're there, surrounded by all these other investors. Everyone's so hyped. So I'm like, I want to buy a property. So I sat down with one of the consultants, and at the time, they were buying in Michigan. So I was kind of just going, through their list of all the properties that they had, and I was like, okay, let me get a multifamily, at least a duplex. So if one of the units is vacant, at least the other unit, can pay for the rent. So I ended up buying a duplex and dropping another $25,000 while I was there at that conference. So that's kind of how I started with my first out-of-state rental, because I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. And it's like when you first start doing something, you don't know any better. So I didn't know it was going to be crazy difficult to manage a property, out of state. I just, it was what I was introduced to. So I was like, okay, this is normal.
That was that the full purchase price of the property?
No, so
because I know some properties
no.
in those areas can be pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah.
No. So I bought it for $78,000 and I put down $25,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went conventional, or?
So they had a hard money lender there. So Nick, they had everything for you. They created your LLC. They had someone there for you to do all your docs and all of that stuff. So yeah, no, I bought the property, and that is a crazy story in and of itself too. Because again, I said it was supposed to be turnkey. Yeah, actually, I do. Yeah. So the loan that I got on this thing, just to give you an idea, was a 3-year hard money loan, right? I knew at the end of year 2, Nick, just because I studied finance and accounting, so I'm a little good with numbers. I knew at the end of year 2 that I was not going to have enough money to pay this thing off in full because I had been making additional payments towards the house. Because again,
they allowed you to do that.
Yeah, because I was only making interest payments for those 3 years, right? Or at least that's what I was supposed to be doing. And so I knew I wasn't going to have enough money, so I had asked the lender for an extension. And at the time, Nick, my brother and sister-in-law were following Dave Ramsey. They had both picked up 2nd and 3rd jobs to pay off all their student loan debt.
The screen that,
And that's what I basically ended up doing. So here I am working at Fidelity, making 6 figures, and I ended up getting a job at Amazon, working at their fulfillment center in Fort Worth, scanning packages and, putting like stuff away, like working at a warehouse, essentially.
In order to pay that off?
Because I wanted to pay off the property, yeah.
Is that how you got Lady Hustle? Is that where that all started? You know what? I'm gonna goddamn hustle for this. I'm gonna make it work.
Yeah, because it's like I felt like I'd worked so hard, with everything that I'd been doing. I'm like, I'm not gonna lose, this property. Because I mean, if I didn't pay it, they were gonna, take it back. So yeah, so that's what I did. So I worked at Amazon. I think it was like Tuesday through like Saturday or Tuesday through Friday, something like that. But on the nights that I was off, I was driving Uber and Lyft.
So I want to hit pause real quick because you said something that was huge that I don't know. Not everybody knows, right? Your hard money loan, your DSCR loan, your Bridges loan, any type of financing, right? They'll have prepaid penalties potentially in them. And if, for said reason, this hard money loan you had, you didn't, obviously. But if you're in this type of situation and you start paying extra toward your principal and stuff, paying it down, it potentially could trigger your prepaid penalty, meaning, hey, they're going to call due and you're going to have to pay additional fees. So check your loan docs on that. Make sure you can, like when you're going for a loan, even with a hard money lender, right? Ask if you can pay additional payments toward them. Sometimes they'll tell you no, flat out no. A dollar over, and it's going to trigger something. So just be aware.
I didn't even know that.
No, it's a lot of times they're also calculated like they want them to go the terms and stuff like that, obviously. So I'm not saying it's common, but it is common. It definitely is common with a lot of DSCR loans too, so check them. But sorry to get segued.
Oh yeah, no, that's good info to know. But yeah, no, so I was making extra payments, but I was still making the same interest payment every month. So even though I was attacking the principal, I was still making the same interest payment. So, but yeah, I did that for a minute.
So now you have that one scot-free.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was insane, but I ended up paying it off.
Are you still Dave Ramsey of mindset, or have you balanced your chi a little? And,
I've kind of balanced it out. Yeah, because that was insane. Like literally, I was working every single night. Like I'd leave Fidelity and I'd go work because I was determined, Nick. I wasn't gonna lose this thing. So.
It's crazy because it's always debt is a double-edged sword in real estate, right? Particularly when we're talking about hard money loans and scaling and everything, you need it. There are these tools out there to create real estate investors, right? They're made for them. They're amazing tools, but at the same time, when shit hits the fan, they'll call them due, right? And we've seen that happen in the past. They'll just call loans due if you have credit out on your property, right? So if you had a portfolio and you're going to leverage it and go get a line of credit, just because you have that line of credit available doesn't mean it's going to be there.
Yeah.
They'll first thing they're going to do is press pause on it, hold it up, and I've seen a lot of investors get jammed up that way, thinking that their credit is cash, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a promissory note in a sense. Like, the lender says he might give you this money, but if shit hits the fan, it's the first thing they're going to freeze. So the fact that you have properties paid off, I'm jealous of. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's probably one of the only ones, though, on a lot of the other ones. Because honestly, I didn't really start adding more and more rentals until a couple years ago. I had set a goal. I think it was back in, I forget if it was 22 or 21, but I had set a goal that I wanted to buy 12 properties that year, like rentals. And I didn't hit my goal, but I bought 10. So it was just crazy because I get together with a group of girls, and so we meet like quarterly and whatnot. We set our goals at the beginning of the year. And so being in that group and kind of just being intentional and always writing down what we were looking to get, I didn't hit the 12, but I got 10. So that was pretty good.
The thing about goals is they have to be attainable. That's the first thing. So the fact that you hit whatever that is, 95%, or I don't know what that is, 10 of 12 is, but that's fucking awesome. That's nothing to be bashful at. Were they all 10? Were they all rentals that you kept, or were they all? That's huge right there. How are you finding those? Are they flips that you bird, or were they ones that you were Like, were you still doing flips, or you only doing burrs, right? Were you
So
only
I looked at the
refinancing?
numbers. So I kind of just looked at if I was going to be cash flowing, quite a bit. If the houses were in a good area, then I decided to keep them. So I live in HEB, and so I was like, I want some houses, in some of the, because I live in Euless. So I was like, I want a house in Hearst and Bedford, and I started putting it out there, and like I think I had 3 houses in Hearst, 1 in Bedford. I ended up buying another one in Euless, but I sold that one, and that's where I want like my portfolio to be.
When you said put it out there, what's that mean?
Like putting things out into the universe. Like I always talk about the things that I'm trying to do, trying to get after, and stuff just kind of starts happening.
How do you do that? Like, so what's your processes for that? What tools do you use for that?
Oh, you're saying getting?
Yeah, because I think people, specifically starting out in real estate, they underestimate just that power alone, just willing it into existence, right? I'm going to start doing this every day. I'm going to start doing XYZ, blasting it out. If it's an email to a friend, if it's a text message to this group of people, if it's a Facebook post, it's a whatever. But as long as you're doing it consistently and putting it out there, it actually comes to fruition.
Yeah.
I talk to realtors all the time about this. I talk to agents all the time about this. I talk to, I meant lenders, not realtors and agents. I know they're the same fucking thing. And like roofers, same type of thing. Anybody that has to do sales, networking, stuff like that, they really skip this first step all the time when it's first getting out. Because a lot of times it's embarrassing almost, right? They're going into something new, and they don't want to talk about it because they don't feel like the subject matter expert yet. But in order to be successful, you have to be the subject matter expert.
Yeah.
And the only way you become that is by learning and talking and growing and doing it. That was a long-ass ramble of nothing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, so one, always talk about what you do with everyone or what you're wanting to do. Like I always tell people, hey, I'm working on doing this. This is my goal for this year. So for example, I talked about how I wanted to maybe transition and start doing new builds. So a friend of mine was, building some houses out in Granbury. We went and checked them out with a friend of mine. My friend and I went out there, and literally, Nick, 2 weeks after we went and saw the lots and the houses, we got lots under contract over there.
You're building them now?
So we're set to close a week from today.
That's awesome.
And we have to give the city the plans and whatnot, but 30 days after that, we're going to do our first new
Where are
builds.
those at? In Dallas?
In Granbury.
Granbury?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so talking to people, I mean, posting stuff on social media and like putting it out there to your friends and, your tribe of people that will hold you accountable. You know what I'm saying? And then also too, I read different books. So one of the books I'm reading right now is The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. So it's 28 days of gratitude, right? So every day you write things that you're grateful for. And so I'm always writing things that haven't happened yet, but that I'm grateful are going to happen. I'm going to start doing some new builds, like, so that's one of the little things that I do.
Yeah, so you're cementing it in type deal. Like
Yes.
you're going to go and attain it, but it's already, you're looking at it as a past thing type of.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I like that. D, thanks for checking in. Let us know if you have any questions, anything going on. Joe, Frenzy. I have a lot available in Granbury if you want to copy paste your blueprints. I have lots of, sorry, I'm blind, I can't. I have lots available in Granbury if you want to copy and paste your blueprints. Are you looking for more lots in Granbury?
Yeah, heck yeah. So
send the DM to Maria, Joe. Where, so this year has been crazy enough.
Oh yeah, oh my goodness.
What are you, I don't know, I don't know what question I want to even ask, right? Like, what do you want to talk about? How much it sucks, what's good, what's bad?
So actually, let's talk about what we were talking about earlier. So one of the things that we were discussing earlier was how a lot of people sometimes get into real estate, especially with fix and flip, and it's like, hey, as long as I buy it at this price, I'm guaranteed to make money. There's no guarantee in this business whatsoever. So one of the things that I was telling you is that we had purchased some properties, and I got them for decent prices. So we have a house in Waxahachie, another one in Kaufman, and then I have another house in Nevada. So a little bit further out. Usually I like to stick 30, 45 minutes radius from the DFW airport, just because I don't want to be driving all over. So that's kind of my thing.
You get picky after a while.
Yeah.
You find your own little niche, and you're like, you know what, I'm good. I don't have to drive that far anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so you got to be really careful, because in this market, I mean, this is the first time I've experienced something like this where interest rates, have gotten to where they've gotten to. But, sometimes you get stuck with some of these deals. Like, I've had some of these properties like Kaufman and Waxahachie on the market, for months, and like we aren't making any traction. You know what I'm saying? So you always have to have a plan B and figure out how you can pivot, because you're gonna have to pay back those hard money loans.
What people aren't noticing either is like when they're analyzing deals, I sit there and I analyze deals all day long with the members, and they'll send me numbers and they're like, this one is going to make 10% for the end investor, and I'm like, no, it's not. Like, you can't guarantee that. You're saying it is because it's going to hit at 100% right now, meaning that if all goes well, everything's going to be fine. But what happens if this thing has to sit on the market for 180 days, right? What happens if you're not selling it at 100%? Most likely, you're going to drop that thing down to 90, 85% of ARV is what you're actually going to be selling right now. If you're taking that into account and it's still making 10%, then it's a good deal.
Yeah.
But right now, people are maxing, like, they're using bad data to calculate things. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier about wholesalers just popping up out of nowhere and not understanding the numbers, right? What is one of the things that is dragging you out? Like, is it just low offers, or is it not even getting people in the door? What are you seeing?
So the one in Kaufman, we had gotten an offer on it, but I think the buyer was trying to find a way to kind of get out, because a couple things did pop up during the inspection, and we offered to fix it and whatnot. But also, too, one of the biggest things that they wanted, because the house sits on an acre, is that they wanted a fence around the entire property. So we were actually, going to pay for that. So it's like we're getting after one of the biggest things that you had wanted, and then some of the other items, in my opinion, were easily fixed, but they kind of backed out. But Kaufman's a little further out there, and so we just haven't been getting, like, we've gotten showings, but just not a lot of offers. We actually had an agent that came and did a showing, and so I was checking back in with him, and he's like, Maria, my buyers kind of decided to put their search on hold right now. So I think part of it, too, that, maybe people that thought that they could afford something, it's like, well, maybe we need to wait. So I've kind of gotten some of that feedback from agents that their clients are putting their search on hold right now.
I will say the retail world, right, they're not in tune with what's going on. They don't actually, the 90 days out, anything past 90 days is complete smokescreen. Nobody in this world knows what's going on, okay? It is completely up for grabs of what's the world's going to go up or down. Nobody can tell, right? And that's not me being cynical or anything crazy. It's being factual, true, right? We've never seen this timeline right now. So what happens to the market if rates go up or down? People are hedging their bets on thinking that rates are going to go down. And God, why, right? Why hedge all your money on something that's only going to go one way instead of just playing the game safe like you should? I was talking to Kelly Smith earlier, and we were talking about a person just doing a refinance, and I was telling you earlier, they were just dragging out their feet, saying that they're thinking that if they wait 45 days, the rates are going to drop, and that's going to save their deal. I'm like, no, rates aren't what's killing your deal right now. Your deal doesn't make sense because of probably taxes and insurance, and market rent isn't there. So guess what? Don't hold that one. You got to cut it loose and get rid of it and move on to the next one. Did you have any of those that you ran into, or anything that you've had to cut and dump?
So luckily, not yet. So the ones that we've been having issues with, so what I think is going to happen is that we're going to refinance and rent out. We have some people interested in renting, and then I think the people that are interested in renting ultimately want to purchase. So that seems like a pretty decent one. And then for one of the other properties, I think what we're going to end up doing is refinancing and then potentially selling it on a wrap. So I've actually done that. I've only done one, so I'm learning. So it's also kind of forcing me to get out of my comfort zone, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I always go into things with, again, at least 2 strategies, but in this market, you almost have to have 3 and 4, because it's like, with where rates are and what we get as investors, your deal might not pencil. You might not hit that one, what is it, that ratio that you need for DSCR?
Yeah, like
exactly.
1.1 or... Yeah. I've been seeing them now. They're down to even ones, but as an investor, you never want to ping it out there, because I'm seeing so many new build sub-2s coming across, and they're like, oh, this thing's going to cash flow. And I'm like, how's it going to cash flow when the next year taxes are going to double or anything, right? The PITI isn't going to pencil anymore. People don't understand the numbers. We had a PPC lead come in, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and it was a sub-2 deal. They sold it. The original seller was still in control of payments. So the unknowing sub-2 person that assigned it to somebody, right, was taking payments and then putting them back to the seller and then having the seller pay.
And was the seller
The
paying?
seller stopped paying.
Ooh.
But that just comes down to poor education. That
Yeah.
person should never have been doing that deal. They don't know how to structure it, all these things, and you're trying to back your way into something, and yeah, that one's coming undone hard.
Ouch.
But
That sucks.
sorry, I'm blanking for a second.
Oh, no, you're good.
What where are you getting into more wholesaling or anything? Are you trying to do more of that? Or?
Yeah, no, definitely. So it's interesting because wholesaling had never really been my thing. So again, I learned how to fix and flip, from this course. But it's like anything else in life, you have to pivot. And so we were seeing that, these houses are taking a little bit to sell. So it's like, all right, anything that we come across, if we can, wholesale it.
I've listened to you on the phone before. Like, you are fabulous talking to sellers and wholesalers, right? So people. The fact that you're now getting into wholesaling is surprising to me because you're already doing the hardships of solving the seller's problems and stuff. Like, you're buying deep enough for it to make sense for you. If it's going to make sense for you, it's sure shit's going to make sense for some other sorry sap that's going to buy at 80%, right? So
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, if you're doing the hard work of doing the lead gen, of the nurturing, of the follow-up, and the negotiations, wholesaling is just the disposition side of actually turning around and putting that deal back out there. It's the same thing as if you're going to flip it. It's a different business model completely, but you're already doing the hard work.
Yeah.
What's your favorite lead gen source?
So the bulk of my leads were coming from texting previously, and man, Nick, we got some really good deals because we would target pre-foreclosures all the time.
Are you still doing that or not?
So recently, and when I say recently, as of last week, I kind of paused it just because we haven't been getting like anything from that. So we started doing some cold calling. I might start doing PPL again, pay per lead. But yeah, we're kind of putting texting on.
So what were you using for texting? If you don't mind me asking?
So what the heck was it called? So I was using REiReply for the longest time, but I kept getting blocked. And so I switched over. A friend of mine introduced me to a friend of his, and he set up like this new platform. It's basically using REiReplies, like that whole format with Go High Level. So it's something similar, basically.
The only person I know that's killing it right now in texting would be Bhaskar. Down in Houston. I don't know what he's doing. I think it's more small batch. That is the key. But everybody that I know pulled out of texting.
Yeah.
A2P just kicked everybody in the ass. Even for my subscribers, like I have the community and the mastermind and the people that are actually a part of us, like even trying to get texting out to them when all of that went down a year ago or whatever that was, like when they really tightened down and
You couldn't even reach out to
like to people that were signed up and stuff. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So the fact that, and we stopped doing our texting to sellers probably a year before that, just because again we saw our, not the conversion, it was the receive rate. It just plummeted one month, and we're like, well, that's fine. That's all for right now. We love phone calls, and then phone calls drives the belly to belly. So that's our avenue. We haven't been successful yet with cold callers.
Yeah.
Just because it's not, the managing time thing is what sucks for us. A lot of people get into real estate, and that's all real estate is, just managing your time and other people's. So it's what can you do best.
Yeah.
I know me and you talked heavily about it before, like just return on ad spend and like which marketing to do, and it just pick one and just
stick with it.
Stick with it, and eventually tweak it, right, and then go off onto another tangent and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's been cool, and I think I've never had like a lead problem, and what I mean by that, like I could handle all the flips, and that's not. So what
Sorry.
what I mean with the lead problem is that, like, part of the reason I guess I didn't start wholesaling quicker is because everything that I got, I was able to flip it. You know what I'm saying? If we had
You're still able to manage it.
Yeah,
Doing
exactly.
10 flips to burrs, right, in a year is a lot.
Yeah.
To manage 10 full rehabs and then refinance, so that's a lot in a year.
Yeah, and actually that was in 2022. So I quit my full-time job end of November 2021 and
okay.
transitioned to real estate full-time. And actually 2022 was my best year. So I added those 10 rentals. I flipped, I think, almost 10 houses, I think, that same year too. So that was like the best year.
So, all right, so that gives me kind of time frame. So you went from 2015 to 2021.
Part-time. And when I say part-time, Nick, it was like one house a year, maybe two. Because it's like I'm working my 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying? And also working at Amazon for that period of time and driving Uber and Lyft. So yeah, it was like super slow. But it's interesting just because a lot of people kind of compare themselves to where other people are at. But it's like, you know, take your time, like slow and steady. Because all of a sudden, when I did make that leap, that next year, like, I killed it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
off
saying?
to the races.
Yeah, so
you
it's
built
like
a foundation. That entire time, you weren't just doing nothing. It wasn't just education. A lot of times, people drag their feet during that entire time, and they'll do one every 3 years.
Yeah.
No, you were doing consistent. You were building your foundation for your business, and then once you segued it out, you took off to the races.
Yeah, exactly. And like just building relationships. You know what I'm saying? I have a mindset coach, and so my mindset coach, BP. I'll have to send him a message, but he's the one that helped me change my mindset on, because part of the reason I was only doing one deal at a time is because I was kind of using a little bit of my money, but only maybe one other person's money. But when I started reaching out to other people, that's then how I was able to scale. So I have private lenders that from all over the place, because I always post on my social media and always talk about what I'm doing. Nick, I have private lenders that I've never met before in person from like California, different places like that. I've had a group of police officers from New York reach out to me that they want to, you know, invest. So it's like you never know. So doing that and changing my mindset, because I think for me, I thought that I was bothering people by trying to like, oh, I'm, you know, begging them for money or whatever. Like, no, that's not what it is. Like, they have funds that are just sitting there, not really making anything in their bank account, savings account, whatever it might be, and I'm providing them with an opportunity.
So I want to get into that a little. Like, what's that sales pitch like? Because like you're saying, a lot of times people get nervous asking for money, but you're not. You're providing a safe backspace. You're providing hopefully a safe, right, and sound investment for them, right? It's attached to hard real estate. It's attached to a hard asset.
Yep.
So it's not just some Bitcoin or anything like that. So go into that a little.
Yeah. So usually when I talk to people and I let them know, like, hey guys, this is exactly what I would do if I was looking to invest with someone. So because all they do is see me on social media. Like, you don't know if half of what I'm posting is legit or not, you know? So I let them know, like, hey guys, I'm going to send you a proof of concept so you guys can see the projects that I've been working on since I've started this. So essentially, Nick, my proof of concept, it's a PowerPoint presentation. Every slide is one project that I've worked on with all the numbers, whether I wholesaled it, fixed and flipped, rental, you know, whatever it is.
Just like a before and after snapshot.
It gives you the idea, so that way you know, like, okay, cool, you've done, you know, quite a bit of stuff. So I send them that. I have another document that has all the HUDs, because again, I could have made all that stuff up, but I have the HUDs.
Yeah, you got the receipts.
Yeah, exactly. And then I explain to them, hey guys, so this is how the process works. Like, I have this particular project. I talk to them a little bit about the project. Usually I send them an email and it like wraps everything up, but I let them know, especially because a lot of times some of these people, this is the first time that they're investing. They've never like invested before, so they don't know how this works. So I let them know, like, hey guys, so I'm closing on this property, you know, I need money for rehab. So that's what your investment is going to go towards. We're going to create a promissory note for you guys so your investment is safe. Like, you're going to see that I'm updating the house, because I always post everything on social media. And then I let them know what the terms are. And I explain to people, Nick, just because I think a fix and flip is only going to take 4 to 6 months, I usually let people know this is a 12-month investment with the expectation that I'm going to potentially pay you back in 4 to 6. I do it for 12 because anything can happen. Market slows down, it takes us longer to refi, whatever it is, longer to sell. You know, I don't know, but I don't want to redraft paperwork, you know, if I just kind of set that from the very beginning. So I'd rather under promise and over deliver. And then, yeah.
Anybody out there looking at hard money lenders and you're looking at a 6-month term, throw the paper out. I can't scream that loud enough. And to any hard money lender out there in the comments that's yelling at me because they're a 6-month term, oh, but I don't care. You're in it for extension fees only. There's no reason to do anything short of 12 months. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
But no, so many investors, I see that also. They get jammed up. They get into a 6-month term, and next thing you know, they're paying 1 to 2 point extension fees every 6 months, and then they're into these things for 18 months. You just paid triple the price trying to save some money on the front end. They're only set up for angry. Anyway, so are you taking investors and then helping them convert their money to a Roth, not to a Roth, to a IRA, self-directed?
So I have some friends that have reached out to me that have funds, maybe an old 401k, and so I actually ended up moving my 401k into self-directed. I actually have invested in a couple projects, so I've walked to my friends to be like, hey, here's a company that I'm using where you can transfer your funds and you can invest, in real estate.
That's amazing. So that's one of the biggest things that I can't wait. Like, I love talking to my friends all the time, and do you know you can take all this money that you have from your company, yada yada, and actually use that for real estate? And blows their mind, and then you sit down and you actually talk with them about them. I love that you have the mindset of actually understanding that it's an opportunity for them. Not all.
Nick, it took me a while. And I'm sure there are people out there because, we're afraid to ask for help sometimes. And it's not even that you're asking for help. Again, you're providing someone with an opportunity. But I had that roadblock. I had to sit down in the car. So my mentor, he lived out in Phoenix. He actually moved just recently to the Dominican Republic, so I'm jealous of that punk. So he's out there, and literally we were sitting in the car, and this is how he talked to me. He's like, listen, motherfucker, just put it out there. Stop being, so afraid or nervous, to, tell people what it is that you're doing and what you're looking for. And literally the very next day after I had that conversation with him, I just made a post, or I put it up on a story, hey guys, have a deal coming up, looking for, 30K. And Nick, I had 3 people reach out to me. So it's it's that simple, just put something out there, and you'd be surprised the people that will, come out the woodworks, oh, you're doing real estate, you have a project I can invest, tell me more.
If you don't mind me asking, what's the average? So you did 12-month term.
Yeah.
Do you know, are you allowed to tell me the rate that you offer?
No, just kidding. So usually with my private lenders, if it's a fix and flip project, so it's a minimum of 10% annual return that we do. And I explain, hey, if we're in the project for 6 months, you're getting paid, for 6 months. But what I like to do is have another project ready. So it's hey, once this project is done, we have something else that you can invest in. Yeah, exactly. And then, I have some investors that are a little bit more sophisticated, hey, we want some points and whatnot. Generally, I'll be honest, I don't typically do points. But the great thing about private lenders is that, unlike hard money, you're paying monthly payments whenever you have these loans. So I always structure with my private lenders, hey guys, we're not making any money while we're flipping these houses. It's very capital intensive. I have so much money going out. You guys will get paid your principal and your interest at the end of the project. So that's usually how I structure it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And all that is people always ask, how do you get private? How do I find private lenders? Is it people want to go to LinkedIn and they want to start scalping at dentists and stuff? I'm like, no, it's just communications. It's just networking, just finding people and understanding and talking to people and building up these relationships.
So I have a story for you, and sorry to interrupt you.
No,
so
please.
My second deal, so I said the first one, $95,000 house in Hearst that I bought, right? Second deal that I bought was a $220,000 house, and it needed $80,000 in rehab, so $300,000 total, right? So I used to play basketball at 24 Hour Fitness in Southlake. And it's playing ball, you start talking to a lot of the guys and whatnot. So one of the guys, I became really cool with him. And so I was talking to him about a project that I had coming up. And he's like, you know what, Maria, I'm interested. Let's link up. So I talked to him about the project. And he's like, hey, so I don't think I'm going to have the funds available for your particular project, but let me introduce you to a friend of mine that might be interested. So Nick, I met this gentleman at a Starbucks. I brought my purchase contract, my rehab budget. I had done an appraisal. I had everything lined up with me, right? And so I showed him all the info, let him know what I was paying, et cetera. 2-3 days later, I followed up with him hey, so any questions? What'd you think? And I was freaking out because Nick, I was like, this guy doesn't know me. You know what I'm saying? This is my second flip ever. Is he really going to give me money? He agreed to give me $250,000. So technically, I guess I used private lenders for my first deal too, but I got my first actual private lender on my second deal, and he gave me $250,000 cash. And then I funded the rest because I still had money from my dad and my uncle from the first one. And that's how I did, my second flip. And I think we made $46,000 on that. But it all came from, again, me playing basketball with my friend at the gym, just kind of talking about some of the stuff that I'm working on. And he introduced me to a friend of his who we still do deals together to this day. I
have a lot of friends that I work with offshore back in the day that they all are sitting there with money and they're perfect candidates for that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's what I love about real estate. It's because there's so many different ways to provide value, right? You can be a lender, you can be a private lender, not just a lender, right?
Yeah.
Don't try to be a bank, Gaddafi. You can try to be a private lender. You can be a rehabber. You can be the actual investor that's going to buy it and flip it. You can do anything with it.
Yeah, and anybody can be your private lender. Like, again, people playing basketball. That's like my favorite. Like, when you're having fun and doing activities like that, like, I play poker, and actually I've gotten a bunch of private lenders from people I play poker with. So
it's easy because you're sitting around, you're just talking about like
Yeah.
it's positivity, right? Once people are having a good time with you, they've realized I'll invest with that person. I want to work with them. I want to be around them more. They're putting off good vibes. They're putting out good energy. They're actually doing well in life. It's totally different if you're just gonna be a slug and you need down. Yeah, if you're that mindset of like, who's gonna want to give me money? I don't want. No,
Yeah,
that's the
no.
different mindset. You're not going out there and asking. It's like you have to be providing something. If you're not providing something, fuck off. There's somebody else to go take money from them. Guys, if anybody has any comments, any questions, drop them in the chat. I know I always forget about you guys, but smash that like button. Let us know what you got going on. If you're having any troubles in the industry, if you're having trouble with flips, refis, rates, let me hear it. Let me know what the hell's going on out there. So, are you looking at scaling anymore, or you like where do you want to go? Do you want to get into commercial? That's one of the everybody wants to get into commercial. At the same time, that's like the next doomed market. So it's
Yeah.
going to be a great one to pick up in the next 12 months, but I have no desire to go play with that stuff.
Yeah, I think for right now, I'm good with that too. If something comes across my lap, I'll take a look at it. But a friend of mine and I are looking at RV parks, mobile home parks. So actually, we submitted an offer for an RV park in San Antonio last week. So
Awesome.
We're trying to see if we can work on that. But they're offering owner financing.
Where does that come from? That lead?
So that particular lead, so this VA that we know, like she's just a hustler. And she sent us the lead, like, hey guys, I know you said you are interested in RV parks, so yeah, she's just been sending us a bunch of
Awesome.
RV
Is she
parks.
out of country?
She's in Egypt.
Oh, that's all. How the hell did you find her?
So a friend of mine connected me with a friend of his, or a friend of mine connected me with her friend, and he's the one that has the VA that finds deals and has been sending it to us. So connection.
Like I try to friend VAs all the time. I'm not mean, right? They friend me, and then right away I get blasted out and like I'm like, no, unfriend. But like I'm trying to find the good one.
Yeah.
Just I can't find one in Egypt.
Yeah.
But I don't have that reach yet. John, love hearing it, John. She is a beast. Sorry.
Oh no,
ADD.
no, you're good. You're good. I didn't see that. Good catch. Good catch.
No, it's fine. So no
Nothing
scale in
with commercial right now. Like I want to focus on stuff that's recession proof. You know what I'm saying? And so for a little while back in the day, and not back in the day, it was probably like last year, I was looking at laundromats. So I'm trying to kind of like pivot and look at different things that can
talk
provide.
about that for a minute.
Yeah, because I mean, flipping is awesome, and we've talked about this, and wholesaling is cool too. But it's like I don't want to have to flip a house. I don't want to have to wholesale bring in money. You know what I'm saying? Like some of my rentals that I have in certain areas, they're awesome where tenants pay on time. Like I have no issues. I want to have more of that, but in other areas. So I think RV parks, is going to be awesome. Mobile home parks, and maybe apartments, maybe at some point. But I know right now that area,
It's scary.
yeah.
The rental thing, like I end up hating my tenants when I want to love them. Like you want to love your tenants, you want them to take care of your stuff, you want to but they end up just being bad tenants sometimes. Like you're gonna have that. Right now we're running into a couple of our rentals that we hate, but for the most part they're okay. I'm not adding to the portfolio, I'll tell you that right now, just because it has to be like a free rental for me to, just because I'm like, why do I want to deal with that? People suck. What about self-storage? So you were looking at RV and is that something else you would get into, self-storage?
Self-storage, I mean, I definitely consider it. I feel like, I don't know, you really have to look hard to find a pretty decent deal. But
they're not as sexy, I would say, as much as, I mean, I don't know how the hell you call an RV park sexy.
Yeah.
But
I want boring.
they
Cody Sanchez,
yeah.
boring. exploring
Man,
businesses.
it's fucked up because one of my private lenders, he has a multi-million-dollar RV park out east Texas, and the guy that keeps it and stuff like that, he ended up like getting into a drunken fight and getting shot at, and then like bullets went through another RV, and like there had to be police reports.
Oh
so
my
like
goodness.
nothing is ever quiet. There's
Oh, yeah,
nothing that ever
no.
is easy. But it's just another day in Texas. I want to go the Tang route though and go into.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring him up. I was like, I'm trying to be like my boy Tang.
I know. I'll tip my hat to that man all day.
Yeah.
You know, I hit him up one time out of nowhere. I was like, listen, no homo. But how do you style your hair? I literally texted him. He's like, you messing with me? I was like, no, I'm dead serious. I'm going to a wedding soon. And I was like, how the hell do you get that thing to look so goddamn good? And he sent me the recipe.
Yeah.
So
Tang's
that was when I
awesome.
had hair. And then I shave it all off and I go through cycles, but nothing like Tang. It's got that Asian
He's a
hair.
good dude. We had a poker game not so long ago. He brought some egg rolls, some Chinese food. Tang, good looking out. That was
Egg rolls. I don't know where they're from, but we had the game before that. They brought them as well.
Oh yeah.
I
okay.
shoveled at least 37 egg rolls into my mouth that night. I don't know where they were from, but those. What?
You got some egg rolls?
Bro,
Oh, okay.
No, these
Egg
were
rolls.
like homemade. I don't know where they're from. Matt knows.
They live at the photo place, bro.
Oh, Tang does?
Just, yeah, that's where they're from.
Yeah.
Yeah, the egg rolls. You gotta get them from a photo place though. Like a Chinese place won't have
Oh.
So you have to go to a folk place to get good egg rolls?
the ones that you're thinking.
Oh, all right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tommy.
There you go.
That's the one productive thing you've helped me with.
Dang, Tommy, shots fired.
Where, I don't know. I don't know what I was about to say.
Tang.
What? We were talking about Tang.
Yeah, we were loving that.
I know. Stupidness. My ADD.
I want some of those RV parks. I'm gonna get on his level.
How are you doing anything for trying to find them? Do you have the cold callers? Why don't you just put them out to the list?
I mean, the one girl that's sending us leads, like she's been sending us some pretty decent stuff. So we're considering a second one too, because they're offering owner financing as well.
That's the best part is like these, and everybody wants to go after them, but they're scared because how are you going to get into them? But most of the time, they're just tired landlords, right? So they'll offer financing for them a lot of times. So you're able to get into them at a great deal.
You just gotta ask. A lot of people are afraid of rejection. Like they're afraid of hearing the word no. And I'll be honest, like I'm like that sometimes too. I'm like, oh. But I worked, at Fidelity. I worked at a call center, so nothing will prepare you more to be on the phones and getting cursed at and all that stuff. That working at a call center, I didn't get cursed at, but I got hung up on all the time.
We get cursed
So,
at every day. We literally have a phone call from yesterday. Tommy is going to toss it up, but it's this woman. We got a PPC lead in last month. Been dealing with the seller. Come to find out that the seller has like the reason why we've been trying to get photos of the interior, and he's got somebody that's staying there. Come to find out that is his old baby mama, and he has like, Texas, so their rights or whatever the fuck that is, joint.
Exists.
Yeah, exists. Yeah, she has rights.
Common law.
Common law. There
There
it
we go.
is. Common law marriage. So we're like, all right. Well, obviously she's a part of this transaction. We have to get a hold of her. So Tony calls her because the seller's being all weird. This woman, I can't even describe the level of irate this woman was at. Have you ever seen South Park? She
Yeah.
reminded me of the bus driver from South Park, just screaming, just, what fucking number? Tell me a number. Just screaming,
dang.
losing her mind. And Tony's just sitting there like, ma'am, if you stop yelling. Like, it was an 11-minute conversation. She only got off because she got rear-ended. I can't even make this shit up, folks. But yeah, that
Oh
was a
my
phone call
goodness.
yesterday. Talking with sellers is always fun. Mike, what up, man? I gotta go play
Oh,
golf.
Mike.
Not golf. I gotta go play poker, man. I've been missing you. Every time I go, you're not there. So
the comments are so funny.
I don't know who the tennis player is, but
He's not afraid of rejection.
yeah, he's not
I
afraid
know,
of rejection.
not afraid of rejection. Oh, okay. Yo, Mike is killing it. Mike is someone that I look up to, by the way. I started doing Section 8 just because he kind of guided me through that. So, Mike, hats off to you, homie. I appreciate the help. But yeah, he goes through so much stuff dealing with these tenants, kind of how you were talking about. Man, Section 8 tenants sometimes.
That's one of those things that scare me. Everybody likes it because, yeah, they pay well, but at the same time, you're dealing with Section 8.
Yeah.
Like,
oh man, so Nick, I am considering this new applicant for a house that I have in Dallas, right? So I have a house in Dallas, 75249 zip code. Mike already knows. As soon as I was telling him the rents that I could do for this area, Mike's like an encyclopedia. Oh, you're at 75249, right? Oh,
yeah.
Right off of this street. I'm like,
how many beds?
Exactly. So this place is a 4-bed, 3-bath. I think it's almost like 3,000 square feet. Really nice neighborhood. I'm trying to get 3,500 for this place. It's kind of how you were talking about Section 8 tenants and the stuff you have to deal with. So this girl that applied, right? She sent me her info. She hasn't like done a credit and background check just yet because I'm still waiting on that. But she did send me her ID. One of my friends does armed security, so he has access to pull people's info and whatnot. I sent him the stuff. He prints out this rap sheet. I don't know how many pages it was, and he's like, if you're considering her, you better watch out. So, again, I'm not trying to say all Section 8 tenants are like that, but you want to do due diligence on these guys just like anyone else. Just because it's guaranteed rent, quote unquote, you might be getting more than what you bargained for.
It's not, though. The fucked up thing is like, they still have to pay a portion most of the time.
Yeah.
That portion, guess what? They will not pay sometimes. I know Tony, he had to evict somebody because they weren't paying like the $25 port. Like, that's all they had to pay was $25 a month or some shit.
Yeah.
And they let it go for 4 months. And then finally, Tony had to evict them.
Yeah.
It comes, we say it all the time with the avatars, knowing the avatars of your buyers, your sellers, the same thing with your renters, right? What type of person am I renting this property to? Are they college students? Are they going to put beer cans in the walls? Are they Section 8 people who are down on their luck? Are they what is the avatar, right? So, and anytime you mess with that, I'm a strong believer in that. Like, anytime I'm also a believer that like names hold purposes, right? Like every Maria is one same, right? Every Kevin's a lunatic and yada yada yada. Kevin's are always lunatics. I love them.
I heard the same thing about Tomas.
Well, anytime you say it like that, yes. Once you make a Thomas or Tomas, I'm gonna have to say that.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Oh man, but actually, so with rentals, because I've learned so much over the years on dealing with rentals. So I had a tenant at one of my properties in Richland Hills that she had been there for a while. And when I first went and checked out the house, Tony, this was after, I said Tony, Nick,
That's all right.
Sorry. Woo.
I get mixed up all the time.
So I went and checked out the house. After they moved in, they had this place like immaculate. Like, it looked really nice, decorated very well. So I was like, okay, cool. They're gonna be, an awesome long-term tenant. Tell me how 3 years later these guys finally move out. And the reason they moved out was because I was on the verge of evicting them. I basically had to. And I went into that house and feces all over the floor, tore the heck up. So, Nick, I learned
Were there kid toys around? That's the worst, is when there's like feces and dog shit on the floor, and then there's kid toys, right? Like in the same setting, and it fucking boils my blood.
Yeah, it was disgusting. But basically what it taught me was that I need to do quarterly inspections on these places. Because had I been checking out this house, more consistently, I could have avoided all of that stuff, But you get comfortable because it's like, oh, they seem to be an awesome tenant. Like, they're taking care of the place. Nah, don't believe that. So now I'm doing quarterly inspections for all of my houses. But also, one of the things that we do, because we know tenants do not replace HVAC filters.
Just about to say, that's perfect time for you to...
We also go and replace the filters as well, because we don't want, any issues. But then also, too, one thing that I did not do previously is that I also collect a voided check from them, so I get their account information with the lease. And then, what's the other thing I do? I do something else. Oh, one thing I also didn't do before. This is terrible. Guys, please circle back with their previous landlords. Like, please actually call and, check on the references. And then one of the things, I have my VA do that. So I tell my VA, like, hey, call the reference and say, hey, so do you have any available units for rent? And we've called a couple of people, and they're like, I think you have the wrong number. And it's like, yep, that thing's not legit.
You don't understand.
People lie.
Like, people will, right now, with fraud is so goddamn easy. People will provide fake IDs, fake pay stubs. They'll have full resumes with like past, prior checking and everything. And once you look into a little, you're like, oh shit, this person isn't real. That's how people are getting the real squatters, if you will, quote unquote. But mostly in Texas, they're just evictions. Have you ever had any
Squatters?
nasty? Well, not even squatters, because I feel like that's more of a.
Oh, so I have a story for you.
That's more of like a myth term.
So I think I was on the verge of not necessarily having squatters, but I don't know. So I have this house in Fort Worth. I'm gonna sell this thing because getting rid of problem properties, right?
Yeah, Fort Worth was.
Oh
that
my
whole
goodness.
side.
And so we keep lock boxes at the houses and whatnot. And so I was doing a showing, or not I, but there was an agent that was going to do a showing at the house. And two different stories, actually. So the agent was there, and she's like, hey, so did you guys rent out the property? Because there are people moving stuff into the garage, and they said that they paid a $1,500 deposit to someone. I was like, no, that wasn't us. So that was one thing that happened with that house. People had paid a deposit to someone. So I don't know if they took our information from Zillow and started advertising it on Facebook Marketplace or something like that.
That's literally what they do. They do that. They put out the signs, right? The bandit signs, same thing. And they'll get people, lease it, and they'll come and show it. The question is, did they show it before you, right? So how did they get access?
So, and here's the thing that maybe we need to change up. So one of the things that I do is that I keep the lockbox there, and you have to send me a picture of your ID, and then we'll give you the code. But we try and go and like change the code every so often. But we went over there one time, and someone had changed the locks on the house. So I had to break into my own house. So one of my friends came with me. We got a drill, and we just took all the, and actually when we finally got into the house, all the, the previous deadbolt and all that stuff was on the ground.
The fucked up thing, and I'm gonna curse in this situation, is that if the cops arrived, or anything like that, if the cops arrived and found you breaking into your own house, they would side with the quote unquote tenants in that case, right? Like if they had a fake lease, if they had a piece of paper that said, no, we signed with John Smith that we're gonna live here, we paid $1,500, those cops are just gonna defer to the courts, and then you're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
You're shit for fees. I mean, not fees, but like you're still paying taxes. You're still paying your interest rate. You're still paying your holding money. You're not getting any rent, and now you're sitting there doing a full-on eviction.
Yeah.
That we've run into that a couple times.
Luckily, we were able to stop any of that stuff from happening. But it was really weird too. Another thing, I had carpet cleaners going into that house, and the guy calls me. He's like, Maria, is there supposed to be someone here showering? And I was like, no. So some guy was showering like in the bathroom, and I had the carpet cleaners going to clean the carpet, and his girl was like in the back room or something like that.
Do you not lock your shit up? Like, we gotta talk about this. Security goes a long way. You can go get those Simply Safe systems.
Oh my
Does it fall into somewhere in these right
Most like,
That is true.
Wow. So yes, that is true, but I changed it. So now, we're working outside of that.
That's actually how.
Wow, Tommy, don't be putting out secrets like that. What are you doing?
They're all that though. I mean, everybody knows that.
Oh man.
That's amazing.
That's funny.
Is anything you want to touch base on, or anything we want to chat about? Guys out there, anybody have any questions, comments, concerns you want to bring to the table?
What are you guys working on? Shoot, because the market right now is slow. I want to see what else people are doing. And actually, it's not that it's crazy slow. There's stuff still moving, you know what I'm saying? But you have to have like an awesome product priced well. That's why we're staying under $300K for resale. And actually, to be honest with you, I want to stay closer to 250. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yes. There's still a demand for that level, right? We're doing a lot of creative financing. We're doing a lot of note deals. We're doing a lot of structuring creative notes deals. And there's, again, when you go down to that avatar, there's people that need houses, affordable houses, and they can still afford them at that rate, right? At that price point. When you start jumping over that, fucking all different ball game. Are you still going out of state? Are you still?
So we talked about the Michigan property that I have, right? And never kind of talked about Ohio. So with Ohio, my mindset coach that I mentioned, he had been investing in Ohio, and he's like, hey guys, we're gonna be out in Ohio, checking out some of the properties, talking to the contractor. I'm like, what the heck's he doing up there? Like, what's going on?
I don't know where in Ohio is good.
Yeah.
Because we work leads all the time out there, and every time the fucking properties are worth pennies, and I'm like, there's no buyers anywhere. I haven't cracked that Ohio market yet.
Yeah. So we have, so I have properties in Cleveland, Maple Heights, Garfield Heights. So those are some decent areas. The Garfield Heights I love. But yeah, no. So how I got out there is because my mindset coach was just out there. I was like, you know what? Let me fly out there and kind of see what was going on. So literally, he gave us a little tour. We went and checked out all the properties he was working on, introduced us to his contractor and whatnot. And I was like, okay, he has the people out here. Like I could, start buying some stuff out here. And really, the reason I went out there was because of the cash flow. So the first property that I bought, I think I got it for like 70-ish or something like that. And I was making like $400 or $500 cash flow. Like that was after paying property management and everything. So that's why I was like, man, this is awesome. So you're not going to get a lot of appreciation out there, but again, you are going to get,
you can pay off one way or another. And that's the best part is you can't find, like, it's hard to find cash flow even in sub 300 markets like Dallas and stuff like that, because you're running into taxes and insurance issues.
Yeah.
Have you had that kick in the stomach lately in the past year or so?
So, I mean, there are some properties that I'm kind of like breaking even on, and to be honest with you, some kind of losing a little bit. But the thing is, a lot of people get into rentals and have this mindset that rentals and the cash flow you're going to get, it's going to like replace your income at your job. Heck no. So one of the things, and I was following David Green because he was talking about this, when he first started buying rentals, like he knew that they weren't going to really be paying him out any sort of cash flow like that, because one big fix that pops up, your HVAC, hot water heater, whatever it might be, say goodbye to all that cash flow.
Literally, it'll take up your entire annual profit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the things that I've done, Nick. Like, I don't use any of the cash flow that I get from my rentals. Like, I'm looking at it as a long-term game. You know what I'm saying? I just have to maintain these things, keep the tenants in there, and, ultimately in 21 years or whatever it is, because I'm trying to pay these things off quick. I do extra payments and stuff like that. These things will be paid off. That's my mindset. I'm not looking at it as, hey, this is something that's going to replace my income. I do the fix and flips and wholesaling, to keep income coming in. And actually, to be honest, I feel like you have to have another job sometimes to cover some of the things that you have to for your rentals. Because again, that one bad tenant that I mentioned earlier, that was like a $15,000, renovation. You know how long it's going to take you to make $15,000 on the cash flow from these rentals? So I have a separate account that I keep just for my rentals, and I keep money in there. And anything that I do make from rent, I don't touch it. It just stays there. Because again, something pops up, and let's say we're in a market like we are now. I was talking to a friend of mine not too long ago, and he has several rentals in the HEB area, and actually a couple of them were like vacant. He wasn't able to get anyone for a while. I don't know if you had this issue maybe with any of yours, but like some of my rentals had just kind of been sitting for a little bit. So imagine you now having to pay, these mortgages. You have to have, some reserves on hand. So that's one of the things that I always think about. I'm like, I'm just going to leave that there, and I'm going to make sure the account, has some funds.
We're going to start, that's another wave we're going to start running into, and we're already starting to see it, of people that have refinanced in the past 4 to 5 years, and they maxed all the way up to 80%, pegging out their DSCR, right, making sure that their cash flow is as tight as possible because they were trying to maximize leverage. But now cost of living and everything has gone up through the roof. Rents have actually, I don't want to say have come down, but they're leveling off.
Yeah,
right?
I've actually had to lower the rents on some of mine to attract people.
Yeah, I said one time on a short that rents are going down, and I got people fucking went nuts. But no, rents are going down, right? If you want a tenant that you can trust is going to be in there for more than 6 months, right? Not somebody that's going to be in there for 3 months and then be like, hey, I'm late, sorry. You're probably most likely going to be sub-market rent. You're actually going to be a little bit under market rent. So, people don't understand these things. Like when they run into it, when they crunch the numbers, they don't actually. That's one thing that we always talk about. You have to stress test the shit out of it. And that means what happens if rent drops by 10%? What happens if rates go up? Or, what happens if values drop? I used to always say when I was refinancing, every rental is like a bar of gold. So it's not about, like you're saying, it's not about the cash flow. But if I can eventually, if I'll stack 1 a year, if I stack 10 a year, as long as I'm putting away these bars of gold, at the end game, they're going to pay off. Because you're just sitting there like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's like, so now that I've been doing this for a little bit, I've kind of created calculators, you know, for fix and flips and like rentals and stuff like that. So I run numbers for both, Nick, because again, you might think something's going to sell, you know, quick, you're going to flip it, but that might not be the case. And so when I run my numbers for rentals, I use a mortgage calculator on my phone so I could figure out, okay, what is going to potentially be my PITI? So I look at the taxes, I get a ballpark car insurance. So you can know ahead of time, hey, if I have to pay PITI $2,000 a month, let's say, for example, could I potentially rent this place out for $2,200, you know, maybe $2,300? So those are the kind of things that I do before I buy a property, because I'm always looking at worst case scenario, because you just don't know. And I don't want to be in a situation where, shoot, today's rates and with what I'm going to have to pay, like, man, this thing is not going to work whatsoever. So you're leaving yourself to one strategy maybe. So those are always things that I'm running from the very beginning.
Have you, this might be a little personal just because I'm ADD and it popped in my head. Have you maxed out your personal, like 10, if you will? Or are you only using...
loans under my name and everything?
Yeah.
So no, I only have like 3. So I didn't like max out, and that was on purpose because I wanted to try and have stuff like in my LLCs, you know what I'm saying? So maybe that was something that I could have done, but I didn't want it under my personal name, so I put everything under LLC.
I tell everybody, like, if you can do it, okay, but you can always use that as like a saving grace, because one of those that are paid off, you can very easily go and throw under and then kind of use it as like a quick supply of cash, right? Just by throwing leverage against something. And then at that point, you can do it at whatever you want. If you can do it at 50%, you don't have to go all the way up to 80% and maximize it and blow all your cash flow out the window, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm going to have to go ahead.
Donovan, that's not even a question.
I'm going to have to say I would fuck her up. I would run right over you. That's not even a doubt. I have played women in rugby.
Oh, really?
I'm not afraid to strong. I'm not afraid to strong arm a bitch. Right? But
all right, guys. The next live is going to be Nick and I at the field. Let's see if he can put his money where his
go
mouth
out to the
is
pitch. Oh man,
that'd be hilarious. Ooh, Donovan's already got my back. Yeah. Appreciate you.
You would hear me squeal like a girl. Just get hit. We gotta go to a game. Actually,
a rugby game.
Yeah,
oh yeah, the Dallas team. I mean, they got their asses kicked this past season, but you know,
do.
Yeah. And actually, the U.S., the women, they got third.
Rugby is the only sport you can get your ass kicked and still go out drinking with that other team right after.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thanks, broke my arm, but here's a beer.
Good hit. I
played in. Where was it? Greece. I played.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the Greek national sevens team.
Okay.
And we were a bunch of drunk college kids, 15s, and they were literally tattooed up, smoking cigarettes like before the game, and I'm like, these guys just got out of jail. Like, what's going on? They beat the shit out of us so badly. They started subbing onto our side. Like, they felt bad. They're like, give me a jersey.
The
they kicked the shit out of us because they were sevens national. They literally were just sprinting nonstop.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, slow down. I play 15s. I'm a fat guy. I don't do this.
That is awesome. What position did you play?
Flanker.
Flanker? Okay, nice.
I did flanker, and then my senior year, I was the 8-man.
You never played hooker?
No, it fucked my neck up too much, but I wouldn't. We had shorter guys for that. So we had shorter guys for the hooker. Was that what you were?
No, I played 8-man. I was just trying to, ask a funny little questions because the audience maybe doesn't know what a hooker is.
No.
Yeah, in rugby. Actually, the coolest game that I ever played in, so our team here from Dallas went to the Cayman Islands. And so the Cayman team was trying to make it to the Olympics. So they invited Mexico's national team, and we were playing sevens. And then also, where the heck was the other team? These girls were brolic. But it was 5 teams. So the Cayman had 2 sides, Mexico, us from Texas, and I forget, Scotland. I think that's what it was, Scotland. So when we were walking out to the pitch, there was a bagpiper that was like leading us out. We're like,
that's amazing.
I played man, so much fun.
We were in Bahamas, and we played in the tournament there.
Yeah. And
my coach, being sadistical, signed us up for 2 teams. right? And it was the sevens tournament again. Boston College was there. Bohemian national team was there. Again, for some reason, I would play one sevens game, get off the pitch, and have to walk onto another one. It was miserable. The sun, I can't even make this up. The sun might have been 100 feet off of the pitch, it felt like. It was the hottest day I've ever felt in my life. I got just cooked. Like, the entire team just had sun blisters on us.
Dang.
We were just
That's
dying.
how I felt like when I first came to Texas for the first time. My very first time in Texas was when I played for Providence rugby team. We made it to nationals, and so we came to Austin to play. And I was like, how the hell do these behemoths play in this thing? Like, we were dying.
We made the freshmen drink milk and magnesia before the game too. It was not fun.
Oh my goodness.
Poor
and
guys.
yeah, the cool thing about the Caymans, badass story. So I was running on the field, some girl was trying to tackle me, and actually we bumped heads, and I ended up splitting my eyebrow open, right? So Nick, I thought that was so badass. So they take me to the bench. They like give me, little shots just to kind of numb the area, stitch me up. They gave me like 3 stitches, taped me up, and I went back in and I kept playing. I was like, I did not fly out here to the Caymans to like sit on the bench and just watch. It was
hard right
so
there.
much
Playing
fun.
with
Oh my
stitches.
goodness.
That's hard. I love it.
Rugby, you guys should check it out. It's fun.
I got nothing. I got nothing. I'm trying to think where to go, but I think Tommy, help me.
Flips, rentals, private lenders, ¿qué más? VAs.
Guys, drop a comment if you need anything going on right now. I can.
Or if you guys want to flip, shoot, hit me up. Let's work on some deals. I'll walk you through your first project.
What are you buying at for your flips? What do they have to do to make sense? What's your
So, I
metrics?
mean, for the most part, we're still following. So, I have a calculator that I use where it basically almost gets me to that 70%-ish, between 70 and 75. I like using my calculator just because, I have everything kind of plugged in. My predicted closing costs at the title company, my holding costs. So, I kind of factor in, okay, what's the time frame that I think I'm going to have the, project for? 8 months. So then it kind of calculates my numbers. And that's kind of how I
think that's a good number that a lot of people aren't calculating, is that 8 months turn. People get into things thinking that they get in and out 90 days, 6 months.
Oh, heck no.
There's nothing, specifically right now, if you have to list a property, it's sitting on the market for 3 months before it's getting turned, right? Then you have to go through closing and getting offers and all that jazz. But that's not calculated into most people's 6-month time frame. And that's the first place they're gonna fucking lose money on.
Yeah, and it's funny because my friend that's doing the flips and whatnot, the reserves that you need on hand, you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't take into consideration, again,
We try to tell people you got to have at least 30% left before you even start the deal, right? So, your hard money lender is going to fund it, pay for you. You're going to get the keys, but then you're going to have to start putting money into it before your hard money lender even gives you your first draw.
Yeah.
Even if most hard money lenders, not most, but some will have like different barriers. You have to spend the first half before. Some will only do 2 draws. I've seen max, some put caps on how many draws they're going to give out. So people get into things and then they're like, all right, how am I going to actually get this done? They're fuck, man. That was, I would say, when I first got into real estate in 2019, one of my biggest saving graces was analyzing bad deals. Because at the beginning I was like, oh, I'm sure you can get this done for 19 grand in rehab. And in those days, like, you would see those like budgets come across all the time. You're talking about the State Streets in Dallas, and you're buying it for 100, and you're going to put 20 into it, and it's going to be worth 200. And yeah, it sounds like a good deal, but when you start looking at it, you're like, no, the numbers don't pencil anywhere. Nowhere in this is painting or any lead time, garbage, right? Trash, fucking haul outs, clean outs, all that shit adds up, and people don't realize the dollar amount that needs to equate to it. How long did it take you to learn those hard numbers?
I mean, so one of the things that I always try and do, Nick, is that I try and learn a little bit from each project. So when I did my very first fix and flip in 2015, I used an agent to list it, right? And so when I worked with that agent, I had them walk me through like how to fill out a contract.
The
So
Hermosi technique, right?
yeah, so basically, and not that I don't like agents, I love agents, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes me being able to list a property on my own versus using an agent was the difference between me getting the deal or not. You know what I'm saying? And so after that very first deal, I learned how to fill out contracts on my own. So to be honest with you, I never used an agent after that to list my houses. Because again, like I'd rather do a deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I could, and again, if I was busy enough, like, okay, cool, maybe it made sense. But I've basically been listing my own property since then. And so I use FSBO to list it, right? So here's how it works. So with FSBO, you pay flat fee. So I pay like $300-400. They give me an agent that lists the property on my behalf, right? So they list it on the MLS. So you're still getting it out there and everything like that. The thing that I like is that the agents now call me. So I like that I'm able to talk to them and let them know, like, hey, we're investors. You know, if you run across any homes that need renovations and things like that, you know, please add us to your list and, you know, keep us in mind. So that's one of the things that I like, that I have the opportunity to talk to, you know, those
Why
agents.
haven't you just gotten your license yet?
I didn't want to be restricted by any of those, you know, rules and regulations. So I just have it.
It's the standard answer, so I wasn't sure if that's the thing or not. Do you
Yeah.
you don't have a business partner that you can strong arm him to getting their license?
So actually, I was trying to do that with the guy that I was dating, but that didn't work. I'm like, all right, let's not do that. So I probably just need to find one of my homegirls, like work with them or something like that. But yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Tony, you couldn't pay him to get his license, but
Yeah.
at the same time, we have one on the team,
Yeah.
right? Just because it does go so far. As much as I hate realtors, and I'll say it, I hate realtors. Sorry, guys, you guys are dumb. But they serve a purpose, right?
Yeah.
What's he say in Dumb and Dumber? What did they say about old people? While still slow and dangerous behind the wheel, they still serve a purpose. Maria, I thank you so much for coming out today.
Yeah, no worries. This was fun.
I really am happy that you came out. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Instagram is good to reach out. Lady_hustle23 or Facebook Maria Acosta.
I went so far as to put Maria's link tree in the description and everything like that. So if anybody wants to reach out, if anybody wants to invest with Maria, if anybody wants to learn how to invest, reach out to Maria. I know she's constantly helping people, helping women. She does women mastermind events. She's constantly giving out to her network. So if anybody wants to be part of Maria's network, click the link, reach out to her. She's an amazing resource. I can't say it enough. Thank you so much for coming out today.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
You coming out tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night is
Tomorrow
Thursday.
night
I
is
almost don't know what
Thursday.
day it is. I just flew back and I'm so.
Tomorrow
I thought
night
today was
is
Monday.
Thursday. It's the third Thursday of the month, which means it's our REIAF open office mastermind event. It's right out there. It's tomorrow. It's talking about underwriting.
What
which
time
is
does that
perfect.
start at?
Doors open at 5:30. There it is
5:30.
right there.
Oh, okay.
Doors open at
Nice.
5:30. Huge
Yeah.
shout out
So-
to all of our sponsors.
Yeah. So David Olds is going to be in town tomorrow. We're shooting content, so maybe I could get him to
Bring him
come
on
over
down.
here and hang out.
I should have had him on the call.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming out, honestly. I appreciate you.
De
If there's
nada.
anything we can do to help you, let us know.
Oh, I'll be calling you. Don't
But
worry.
guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Smash that like button. Let us know if you need any help. Click the button, join the community. Keep crushing it. Peace.
Later.